Hello, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hello, can you explain a little bit about yourself to the people that do not know who you are?
So my name is Brian Ellis. I am currently a graduate student. I'm a recent graduate. I graduated in May with a double major in communications and English, and I am in the master's degree program for the communications program.
What jobs did you have during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, when the pandemic first started, I was just like working part time for the school with the student worker jobs since they switched all our work to be online. So that was like a difference, but I no longer worked at Walmart at the time because I moved back to Philadelphia. But once, like after like 3 months into the pandemic, I got hired at a car dealership. So that was like the first job I had during the pandemic, and seeing that switch up of how like car salesmen really changed up how they did their business to what's the word transition into the pandemic, and then coming back to campus is now student worker jobs on campus I have, where there's not really that much contact with students. It's more so just doing some online work and then occasionally going to the office, and then now working at Walmart doing my old job again. So
Can you explain a little bit about what essential worker is?
essential worker, I would say it has to do with the necessity to the need really to for society to progress. If it's not a point like let's say buying hair. I don't think that buying hair is like if you go without hair you can still live. For a grocery store, people need to eat, so grocery stores need to stay open.
What type of essential work do you do right now?
So essential work, as far as Walmart is a grocery store, and then amongst other things, so they stay open for that reason to make sure that the general public has the supplies they need. As far as the work I do on campus, there are always like smaller projects that can help out students in one way or another, and there's also a need for information to get out. So those things are needed for a certain thing, but they're not needed to be like, hey, let's have a full workforce in the office. It's just like, hey, we need some small tasks to be done on the side.
Hmm.
So,
How long have you been working at Walmart and all the other places that you've been working at?
so Walmart, I started there in 2018. The English department started there technically in 2014, but it's been on and off, like being in school and everything. So it's been more so I got to see the transition of how things used to be to how they are now. So Walmart is like they monitor how many customers come into the store. You do have to wear a mask in our store, and even the workers, we have to wear masks throughout all our shifts and make sure that we still keep distance away from each other.
Essential workers receive proper protection and compensation when working in the global health crisis.
I would say it depends on what field you're in, because for a while I know like medical workers, they were getting like a higher rate pay while the pandemic was going on, but once those funds ran out, it was like they went back to normal pay. But which I think they should still find funding in some way, because people are putting their lives at risk, like as far as first responders. As far as other jobs where I feel like where people are still putting themselves, like as far as Walmart, Target, and other places. Target has done really well of like upping their minimum wage in general for all their employees, because they realize that people are putting their lives there. Walmart is trying to catch up to that. So it's different places who are making the effort but aren't there yet.
How has your workplace changed while working during the pandemic?
The like for my jobs on campus, the one in the communications department is 100% remote. So I really don't go in and see anybody. So it's more so I have Zoom meetings, I do phone calls with people, and then as far as any of the work I need to do is straight online. The English department is half and half. So I go into the department some days, but it's only one other person, at most two other people in that department. Excuse me. There's only at most two other people in that department with me. So, and there's no really student or other staff interaction. So just to see the difference of, being in a busy office and now it's just like empty. As far as Walmart, it's more so nothing has changed as much. It's just like I can see the changes that the public has taken and how we have changed up as employees too.
What role did testing play at your workplace?
Testing. What do you mean by testing?
Did you have any type of testing done before before you got done, before you started working at these places?
For as far as testing, I know that they can't really force you to go get tested. No one can, but they did recommend you get tested, and then they also made you fill out a questionnaire as far as have you been in contact with anybody who had COVID? Have you had showed symptoms within the last 2 weeks? And they made sure that you check a temperature in like an app or something, and it records it. So it's like steps they've taken to not necessarily say you had to physically go get tested. They did encourage it, but they still want to make sure that they're keeping people and workers safe in general.
Did your company or workplace give you any guidelines when working in the pandemic?
Yes, so they said that like if you're walking around, they say make sure you keep 6 feet apart from people. If it is like one of the areas where it's like a desk there, they do have like those plastic, borders. So then it's like even if someone does have to sit in front of you or are used to talking and looking at you, it's still a divide. Even with still wearing masks, there's still other things put in place as well. Like I said again, at Walmart, they're monitoring how many people are in the store, and once the store reaches a certain capacity, people have to wait outside. So it's certain things that have changed.
How is the treatment when people hear that you're an essential worker? Do they ever say how much they appreciate you, that you're putting your life on the line for them?
Well, as far as my work, even though I am counted as essential worker, I never did. I stop saying hey, thank you for working at Walmart. But as far as the people who work in hospitals and those are the people I think would really count of saying as the more important essential workers. Even though every person plays their part, I still believe that those people really do put their lives on the line. And then as far as in Philadelphia, I think right now it's just an issue with people with public transportation. That is people wouldn't think that's a really crazy job, but really there's so many workers that come into place to make public transportation happen, and the COVID virus is spreading through their ranks right now. So it comes to play what roles are we really seeing as more important than others?
Do you feel forced or scared to be working in this situation in the world?
In the beginning, when it first hit and I wasn't sure what the virus was, how to protect myself, what information we can get, I refused to work anywhere. So I had the option to transfer to a Walmart in Philadelphia, and I said no. I'm going to stay home and ride it out for a few months and everything. And then when I finally was able to say okay, I need to work again, I looked for a job where I wasn't going to be in contact with that many people, and it was a very small staff. So when I got here to the car dealership, it was a good transition of saying I had my own area, people weren't around me, and when I did come in contact with people, it was very limited contact. It wasn't hey, I'm seeing 100 people a day. So now just knowing that we know a little bit more information and how to protect ourselves more is more comforting to work in public, but I'm still cautious.
What was the guidelines of when you see a customer who's walking into Walmart with without a mask? Was there any guidelines to telling them if not to enter or?
Well, we have in our Walmart, because every Walmart is a little different. Our Walmart, we have someone stationed outside our store. We do have security guards as far as walking throughout our stores. And the first person that comes in, he's taking count, but he also tells people to make sure they have their mask. If people come in the store and they choose not to then keep on their mask, we're not required to tell them to put it on, but at the same time, we are still required to protect ourselves. So if someone does walk up to us and is not wearing a mask, we can politely ask them to raise their mask. If they refuse to, we can just say, okay, well, if you're not going to put up your mask, please remain 6 feet away from me, or even a little bit more, and ask your question from a distance.
Can you explain an average work day for you?
So average work day for me is waking up. I usually go to the English department, do some small tasks there, not too much, and then after that I usually transition to go to Walmart. When I go to Walmart, I make sure I'm wearing my vest, have my mask on when I'm first walking in the doors, and then that's when pretty much clock in, go to my assigned section, and working in my assigned section, I may be working with maybe 2 people in that area, 2 to 3 people in that area, but we start in one section and we spread out, so it's not we're working right next to each other because we stock shelves. So we do that, and then later on in the night after we transition from like putting stock on the shelves, we then go into, it's called zoning. So then we just make sure that all the shelves are organized and we're all assigned our own aisle. So it's not like, again, we're bunched up and working in clusters of people or groups. So it is monitored in a way of like, we're as workers too, we're not clustered together. So as far as my workday, it transitions from stocking, zoning, and then occasionally helping customers.
What do you think is the right time to let other workers back into the environment?
Other workers, you mean like people who wouldn't be counted as essential workers?
Yes, it is.
I would say when people act smarter, because I think like it comes down to when other states opened up and people were so excited to get things rolling and like, hey, we can open as far as bars. Bars aren't essential, but same time we understand that people need money. But if people were smart about opening back up their businesses and didn't rush in and just worry about the money aspect of it so much, and help people stay safe, then that's when I think that those jobs will be able to open now if people were smart about it. But the thing is that people aren't always smart, so that's why we saw as soon as some states opened back up, as far as Florida, Georgia, and some of those other places, that the numbers started to spike again because people weren't being safe. People weren't enforcing wearing a mask, monitoring the amount of people that were coming into their building. So it comes down to responsibility of those owners too, to say, hey, we live in different times. We can't just because they say open, we can go back to how things used to be.